Team Good Guys showing that they're pretty good at Heroes of the Storm as they gain a nice little win against Dignitas, which is something I was not expecting to say today.
Yeah, they show tease right now, and as I said, I talked to Anti-Hero a little bit earlier, and he said, yeah, chances are that we're gonna lose that. Dignitas is just a bit too strong for us to handle yet. We need to improve before we can take them on, but he said if we can take a map, we'll definitely do it, and they just did, so that is great for them, not so great for Dignitas.
Can they take more maps, though, as we figure out which battleground we're going to for game number 3? It is going to be Infernal Shrines, and the choice is the Good Guys, as Dignitas will take first pick.
Infernal Shrines, and the first pick for the Good Guy. For Team Dignitas, yeah. So, already thinking a little bit about what they actually could play here, or if we have something that might throw a bit of a curveball. Thing is, I feel at this point, Mena is probably just standing there. It's like, guys, give me a DPS. He played a support in game 1. He played Abatha in game 2. Not quite what you usually see for Mena.
Yeah, he's really flexing on the heroes today, and we'll see if he continues to flex those heroes. But I do miss him already. I'm on Lei Ming, on the KTs.
Yeah.
Where's the Mena is, you know?
Where's the cooldown? Where's the Chromie?
Where's the playmakers where he can destroy everyone's face? We'll see if they'll get that here. Infernal Shrines is the third battleground, and we're going to get this party hopping here as the first ban of the game will be going to Dig.
You thinking D.Va?
I'm okay with D.Va.
We're talking hopping.
Oh, bunny hop. Man, your brain works in such interesting ways.
I know, right?
You just think in heroic abilities, that's it.
Yeah. The dwarf can hop too.
The dwarf can hop too.
Muradin with a bunny hop, so we could see that as well. And both are heroes that we've seen from Dignitas. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Don't think so either. Genji with the ban from Dignitas and Team Good Guys. What are you going to take away from them? With this new style from the opposing team, Dignitas, we're going to have to ban the Uther, it looks like, again.
The classic. So we go into Genji and Uther as the first bans. Now we're talking mainly about heroes, like for example... Well, first of all, this is a map where we also could see Malthael. But outside of that, Anubarak still very high in priority for the teams here, of course. We have seen on this map also Abathas, but not as common. But starting off with the Oriel. And that smells very much like we are going to see again the double support here.
Yeah, we totally are. And now Team Good Guys in a spot where they have to worry about what they want to move into. Do you take away the Vala now, grab the Tassadar? Does this dictate the draft so much that Team Good Guys have to readjust how they want to draft this map?
They have a few things that they themselves can now pull off, and the question for me is, do they try and play an Illidan composition again?
They do.
And the answer is yes. So I thought that was one of the approaches they could have taken, and if not, the second one for me would have been, okay, let's play something around the Malthael here, for example. But they are going into the Illidan comp once more. Oriel was taken away, so this was a bit of a, I don't want to say a soft ban against it, but it makes it a bit harder to keep the Lunara in the back as the extra damage dealer. But with Tassadar, Illidan has already some decent support. They're going to pick up maybe Rhaegar as their second support if they can. And the biggest question then is, who's going to be the backline damage dealer? What hero are they going to use for that?
Well, over to Dignitas, you have a couple of options here. I could see a world where we go into Gul'dan and a Nubrak, maybe if we do want to get mana back on the mage, or this is an adjustment. Malthael and Vala. Vala was the other route I was going to go, but I did not expect the mouth.
I expected Mouth before because of the map, because here when you have the big fights happening over the shrines and everybody clumping up over the single objective, you usually get a lot of value out of his abilities. And of course the ult as well. So that's one of the things. Vala together with that as the backline damage dealer already. So bans are going to be really interesting here, I feel. Frontline is something that Good Guys cannot ban out, and with that they have to once again wonder about the Illidan. Do they ban, for example, in Arthas because they're worried he shuts down Illidan too hard? Or are they more worried about something else, maybe JPL's Muradin here?
Yeah, Nubrak's still on the table too, but
I
think I like the Arthas ban over the Nubrak. They seemed to actually handle it pretty well last time. Ban out the Arthas because he's strong around the shrine phase.
Why would they ban Anubarak? They can pick him.
That's true.
So if anyone, Dignitas is going to be the team that says, yeah, Anub is not going to happen for you guys. So that's what Dignitas has to decide right now. Do they ban one of the supports out, where they, for example, say, yeah, Tassadar, you already have him, but we don't want to give you Rhaegar for the Ancestral and for the Lightning one. Do they ban out the Anubarak instead, saying the engage is not going to happen here? And it looks very much like that's going to be the thought process here. So Anubarak hovered and very likely going to be confirmed.
And then from there, if the Nubreak gets banned out, heroes that do pop up a little bit here for Team Good Guys to be strong. I think I agree with you on the Rhaegar. I wouldn't mind seeing a Sonya too. I feel like Sonya actually does pretty decent against Malthael. She chunks through pretty quickly. Malthael's a little bit on the scary side overall for the entire Shrine phase, but they could walk away with a strong Shrine phase in particular if they get that Sonya.
But then you play it either without a tank or without a backliner, if you go for the Sonya.
It's true.
We have seen no tank comps. They can definitely work, with Illidan in particular. But I'm not sure if they would be willing to commit to it here. Usually that's more when you're trying to drive a big fight. But right now I would expect them to get a backliner. Vala is taken away. They could still go into a Lunara, but without the Oriel, that's of course still possible though. I mean, you can play with Rhaegar and Lunara now, for example, and just say we have the shield on Tassadar that alone is helping her to stay alive, and we play the Rhaegar over that.
Lunara feels like she would have a hard time against Malthael. We'll see what it's going to be. It's going to be that 5th pick. Stitches and Rhaegar are going to be your choices for Team Good Guys. So they have decent control. They have the poke build, but overall, Dignitas is looking pretty good.
I would still say take the Lunara here. If you can go Putrid Bile, then you have the unfair advantage on 13. You can combo that off again. You have Rhaegar with the Ancestral.
It's good against Malthael in particular. Ariel, while she can do okay, might be enough. We'll see what we get from Dignitas first. So they're going to need their main engage tank, obviously, here.
I mean, the question is still, what about Arthas? Do you value Arthas and what he delivers, what he brings to the table against an Illidan highly enough? But as you said, if you don't have an engage tank and there's a good backliner against you, how do you get close? Do you just use Malthael and try to get in with him? If that's the only trick that you have to get close, then you might probably be in trouble. So it's, I guess, a little bit more likely that we have someone who can actually engage.
Can you just leave it alone here and just go straight into Arthas and Dahaka? Oh, Steve and Medivh, doesn't even matter.
That is something that I was actually wondering when we would see that, the Medivh and the Malthael, because I think that is just absolutely scary.
Makes sense, yeah.
Medivh Malthael is one of those things that I don't think I have seen that in scrims, but just from a theoretical point of view, I think that's frightening as hell.
Yeah, you're able to drop the Force of Will in between his cooldowns, which is his obviously downside. He's a couple seconds where he has to ramp up with a small health pool.
You help him with mobility, you enable him to just go even deeper into the backline, you can then teleport around, so I think Medivh is absolutely awesome with this. The D.Va taken as the main tank for them, so this is actually one of the few games that we've seen where the Haka has not even played a role.
D.Va is a main team too. This is the second time that we've seen it in this series, so Team Dignitas thinking that she is just enough to be able to handle it. The first time made a little sense with Vikings, but this time we have just Medivh here for that pseudo support. Keep him alive. All right, good guys, what are you going to pick up for your 5th pick? Looking for some range damage. It's going to be...
Has to be her.
Cassia.
Cassia, all right, going in full on the melee here. Okay.
Yeah, Malthael, Vala, D.Va. It actually makes a lot of sense there. Medivh in particular can poke her pretty hard there, especially with the Master's Touch. After he gets that finished up will be quite the harassment. But at that point, hopefully Illidan's being able to be in the back line doing his own thing too. So, not a bad pick.
We have seen that melee focus on Infernal Shrines a few times now already. And it works quite well if you can sustain yourself through the battle and really force the fight there. The poke from the back with the Vala is definitely annoying, but overall, I think it's pretty solid what they have. With this, that works quite well. Especially when we're having Malthael. Malthael is going to have a rough time here.
Malthael, yeah. He will have a hard time getting the back line. If he can get on the tasks that are in the Rhaegar, maybe it starts to become much more effective for them just because that Medivh's around and being able to slow down the fights overall and make sure that the supports are having a hard time staying near that Illidan. And that's where you get the focus down from Vala with her engage. I think the wave clear, though, for Dignitas feels a little bit better for the Shrine control, which is pretty important for this battleground. But let's go ahead and get started for game number 3, Infernal Shrines. Dignitas and the good guys are currently tied 1-1, who will take a lead.
A tie in the series as we are heading into our 3rd map. It's Infernal Shrines, and to the left side, Dignitas starts with Bakery on Oriel. Mene on Medivh, really flexing his hero pool today. Snitch on Vala, Zelia on Malthael, and JPL on D.Va.
On the right side, in the red, Team Good Guys. Anti-Hero will be on Illidan. We're going to have Raid Boss on Cassia, Zay on Tassadar, Chronons on Rhaegar, and BKB on Stitches.
It's really interesting. Sorry. Oh, hiccups.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Did you lose along? All right.
The game is so exciting that the hiccups kicked in. He talked a bit about how Bakery is now drafting and also shot calling for the team, and I think in the compositions that we are seeing, it definitely shows. And it has influenced, especially Mene's hero pool. We've seen him today on Oriel, Abathur, and now on Medivh. So definitely not the norm for what Mene usually plays, and it's really an interesting approach. So
it's shocking to me. It feels weird to look at this and actually see it happening, but it's working.
Yeah. Because I think we talked so many times about Mene being just simply the best mage player in Europe and having fantastic heroes with Li Ming, with Gul'dan and so many others. But right now they have him mostly on specialists or the second heal. And the question, of course, is can they take the good guys down with that? Anti-hero needs to be careful. Too far out here, gets the shield. Is he gonna survive? He actually gets away. That looked really close. And I was actually surprised that Zay was able to keep him alive there.
Bailing got the shield at the right time. Auntie hitting the well as well will heal him up, but you're right, he was in trouble in that, that's for sure. D.Va came in, even had the knockback. Scary moment for Ante, but he will survive. While the bottom lane continues the pressure with Vol. Keep pushing in here, but Rhaegar and crew are handling that, they're pretty well.
The Death's Reach once again taken as the level 1 talent from Xaylia here on Malthael. So that's one of the things that we've discussed a bit earlier. It is still the standard here. We have some slight adjustments, but especially when we're going into the level 4 talent, we would still expect the Harvest to be taken. But for now, Shrine is about to be activated, and the teams, of course, would love to grab that level 4 talent just before they head into the fight.
And they're on their way. They're pretty close here. They got a wave in the middle, and they'll be able to soak up that and get it closer and closer to 4. So let's see how this is going to shape out for Team Good Guys. I feel like they have to make a play if they want to even contest for this Shrine. With it being an Arcane Punisher, they may want to do so. But already Dignitas with that Ariel is nice and set up here, using that Righteous Assault effectively. So you see 3 people with that sweep.
Well, I think Good Guys have to still be careful here, because early on with Illidan compositions, you need to be cautious when you are fighting in these situations. But they're going in already. They go for JPL. He doesn't have the self-destruct yet. Now he does. Just barely in time. Xaylia wants to go deep for this one, and Anti-Hero is low. Disengages barely and keeps himself alive. But this is exactly the problem. If you play with an Illidan composition, you always want to give it just a little bit more time to come online, to let Illidan unfold his strength, and so far he didn't get the chance there. Dignitas will grab that first Punisher and run with it. They just delayed at this point slightly to get more value out of it.
I mean, that was just a display of how hard it is for Team Good Guys to have an effective team fight. That was a 5v4 while Malthael was rotating from the top lane to the middle lane, and they still lost out on it, even with the hook on D.Va. Team Good Guys, again, just going to need some time to really start to come online here as they're going to start working up bottom right side and top right side. Dignitas actually delays grabbing this Punisher for the moment. They realize Team Good Guys aren't forcing them to do anything, not soaking all the lanes here, and they'll go ahead and just do their best to soak as well.
Yeah, so we have one camp taken up at the top, and Tassadar can push that in a little bit with them. But their Punisher has been taken, and this is where Dignitas is going to attempt to break at least through the wall. Ideally take it even a bit more than that. Malthael has taken the solo lane into the top, and here comes now the Punisher action. A nice move with the portal here. Well done by Mene, enabling his team to go in for it. Bakery needs to be careful, and all of a sudden Bakery is completely left alone here. The portal is gone. They're trying to get the kill. Can't make that happen, but that was an interesting move by Bakery.
Yeah, the portal just went down at the last second, and I'm actually surprised Team Good Guys didn't get the kill there on Ariel. I felt like she was definitely in a position to be focused down. The Force of Will coming in just in time to make him live long enough, but wow, Dignitas going a bit deep.
I wonder if Bakery just misclicked and didn't even mean to go through the portal, and it just clicked on it by accident. As is, though, the level 7 talent hits faster for Dignitas. And they are having the Master's Touch now ready for Mene. And still waiting a little bit on the talent to take for Malthael. But of course, any moment now, TGG will have their own. And slowly and steadily, they are definitely getting much stronger with their confidence.
Getting much stronger, but still behind. 7 does connect for our teams. Team Good Guys will need to put someone in that top lane as they are having to deal with the pressure in the bottom lane. And Dignitas is not missing a beat. the moment that they gain an advantage on the bottom right without any ammo being up on that turret, they just move in and grab the Mercs, and Raid Boss can't do anything about it.
Now, one of the problems for Dignitas is that they don't really have a lot of CCs there. They have very little they can use to stop Illidan. They can, with Medivh, later on use a ley line seal, for example, but the in-fight stun potential is very low. So right now, we're having Illidan just... As long as they can now play on the same level, they are going to be absolutely fine. And they can start to play a little bit more aggressively. The good guys are doing actually exactly that, starting to move up where Zelia is trying to get the camp. And they are going to steal that away and potentially even kill him, depending on the portal of mana.
They get it. It's going to be a kill. This team Good Guys moves in, aggressively gets the mercenary camp. Solid pickup by them, and one that was quite needed, actually. It feels like they were needing something to break the momentum that Dignitas was really bringing up. Problem is, though, Shrine activates in the bottom, and Dignitas is well set up to go ahead and start controlling it. Vala is in the middle here, could rotate in, but Team Good Guys, they actually get the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, we still had Malthael down, so they don't want to fight a 4 versus 5, but they can move in now. So keep in mind, without the heroic abilities, it's still a little bit tricky for the Good Guys, but they are now in a much better position. The new talents that they have, the level 4 on the side of Tassadar, him having also the range that he needs to bring that shield onto Antihero, that really helps the cleanse on Rhaegar and also the heals. They're in a much better spot now than in the first fight. And they also have the lead with 32-5, so they have a very good shot at getting this one.
Hook comes out, Antihero will jump in. We're going to have the portals and the Force of Wills helping out. The mana Qs continue to hit Illidan, and Team Dignitas actually force Good Guys away. They're trying to bring back it 31-22 in terms of control. Antihero dives in with the well.
But they just wanted to go in to get the fountain, so that's what they did, and now they can re-engage into the battle, 38. And they have all the time they need in the world to get the last minion, and they do. The hook also connects, and JPL moving away, Snitch in a bit of trouble. Can they hunt him down here? That's the question. Not quite. And Antihero needs to move away and does exactly that. But the level 10, very close for Dignitas, so the Good Guys cannot push the Punisher and decide to move onto the lane to get experience so that they will hit their own heroic abilities.
They have a chance here to maybe get Malthael too. With Mane on the way though, should be okay for defense. Zelia turns around for the trade. And 10 is the name of the game for Team Good Guys. They're going to play as completely safe they can here. Make sure not to move in for a fight while Illidan sits in the top. And at level 10, do we see the hunt for Team Good Guys, or will they move into Metamorphosis? Hook comes out. JPL is just fine here, but he does have self-destruct if he gets in trouble.
Yeah, self-destruct is definitely going to help them with the zoning again, but the hunt is in now. And we have also the Ball of Lightning. I like what the Good Guys have here. They are slightly behind in experience, but they still are on the same level of structures than their opponent. And overall, they are looking solid. The fights are going to hinge a lot on Illidan, and as long as they can empower him, he should have a very good run and pressure that backline. As long as Vala is running, she can't do damage.
Invade on the right side, and JPL steps off for a second. BKB is able to take it. They're going to go for a hook, and they're going to hit D.Va, but the Force of Will comes out to prevent her from dying off. Team Dignitas, well, I feel like they've had some decent momentum in their early game. It feels like they're a little bit off here in the mid, as Good Guys are starting to warm up.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's just Illidan starting to really come online with this, and also, of course, the support being there. The Ancestral Healing is going to be a big factor in the fights. They have so many more tools to now keep him safe, and overall, it's going to be rough for Dignitas to really handle Illidan there. If Antihero doesn't make any big mistakes, he should be able to really bring the pain. For me, it's Malthael that we have to focus on a lot during these fights and see how much of an impact he can have.
I'm imagining it's going to be pretty solid here. I mean, just imagine a ley line seal into a Tormented Souls for Malthael being in the middle of everyone there. He's really start to chunk forward, but it's all about hitting it, right? You have to get the setup that you need possible, and with Team Good Guys on the right side with double support, they don't mind spreading out if need be to watch out for the ley line seal. Now, top lane's pushing in. Team Good Guys are in a good spot in bottom. Maybe they can set up for this engage. However, with Medivh constantly in the air, they have full vision of that entire team.
Yeah, Medivh is definitely in a position where he can just easily observe everything that's happening here, and so there's no surprises. But the bot lane is now pressured hard, and in the meantime we have Illidan up against Malthael to the top lane, going to fight that out. Down here though, a fort is very likely to fall if they commit. Already Leyline Seal being used, hitting one. There's the explosion. Raid Boss trying to move out, barely escaping. The hook, great from BKB, helping hand coming through.
helping him out. And at the same time, Illidan's actually getting a nice lead in the top there, going toe-to-toe against Malthael and actually taking an advantage in terms of control. 15-1. Antihero will get out and probably call upon his teammates to come help out, but Team Good Guys, they're surviving.
And Dignitas is heading into 13. That's the problem for the Good Guys, that the earlier level 13 talent would give Dignitas a bit of a power spike they could utilize here. Already, Xaylia is just dashing around, trying to not only pressure Xay, but also make sure that he doesn't fall. And we have 25-2 stacks, so this is looking not too bad for the Good Guys, but they need the 13 talent, which is why Stitches is still in the mid lane.
Yeah, exactly, and they have the time for that. They continue to keep him in the middle lane. He's starting to rotate in. They want to get that 13. They don't mind allowing a slight advantage of control for Dignitas until they hit that 13. Gosh, they are so close. BKB moves in with a Putrid Bile and 13 hits.
Yeah, they're going into Xaylia again, but the portal allows him to move out. 33 against 20 right now, and Xaylia pops his ult. They're starting to go in. Force of Will being used. Antihero completes it, though the hook hits JPL as they're attempting to isolate him again. The hunt goes in too, and he gets Aegis. This could be a kill against him as Antihero dives in deep, but the portal is there and allows Dignitas to safely retreat.
Getting out, but Good Guys continue to do well with the second Punisher in a row as they start pushing forward. They get a hook and they hit Xaylia. Force of Will come out, so does Self-Destruct at the same time, and Dignitas will be able to defend. Mane moving in. Leyline Seal has been used.
Yeah, Force of Will too. Here comes the Ancestral, and they are jumping in again. A lot of the tools that Dignitas has available have already been utilized in the fight. The Good Guys. Oh, the hook against Vala! And the Fen coming in, Snitch surviving for now, but this battle is actually awesome. Raid Boss in trouble, Xay as well. Where's the shield? Kronos is low, and so is Raid Boss. A kill against Rhaegar starts things off, and then a double as Cassia and Illidan fall.
Team Good Guys had no way to stop that strafe, and Snitch is able to get multiple kills with that Volley, and now they push forward and break down that turret in the top. But for a while there, Team Good Guys was taking every single heroic away from Dignitas. The moment that we saw Tormented Souls come out, they disengaged, and then a hook followed up to try and force a fight. Even the Leyline Seal was enough to get Team Good Guys to fall, but eventually they just crumbled there as they used any form of CC they had. Not able to Snitch got that strafe off.
Yeah, it's really tricky for them to get anything done in these fights. They looked strong at the beginning, driving the battle, and then the hook against Vala looked like they could get one kill.
But I mean, how do they even stop that strafe? I mean, you have the hook and the hunt, and that's it. Like, if you get around those, Dignitas just shreds.
Yeah, Mena just always has the cooldown ready on the Force of Will and is making good use of it. And yeah. Dignitas, they only got... This is the first 3 kills that they got in the entire game, but they are far ahead in experience now.
Almost a full level, almost a talent here with 16 about to hit. Shrines will be up pretty soon as well. And you're right, Dignitas is just in a really good spot. As Good Guys are going to try and force something. The top lane, this fort in particular, would be good for them. They need to find a way to even the odds against their opponent.
And they want to have the level 16 talent, and the Shrine is activating, so if they can take structures, that would be the ideal scenario for them. But already Dignitas is moving in, and Good Guys are a bit too deep. They're way too deep for this. And they know it too. They're trying to retreat, but it might already be too late. BKB is moving out. They're attempting to escape, but the explosion splits them off completely. BKB to the left. Tacita starts to retreat. There's the Leyline Seal, but Stitches is way too isolated here. They get the kill against him. So now Illidan already moving down. They're still 1.5 levels behind. Dignitas is at this point controlling the flow of the game completely.
Illidan heads bottom there to get that 16, even using Hunt. So it's really shows that Good Guys are just going to go ahead and give up this Shrine phase, which they probably should. They have a 4 already on their side. They can defend this if need be. 16 is way more important than grabbing that objective. Illidan also will grab that bottom lane mercenary camp. They could push in that fort and get a trade-off. It's actually interesting to look at it. Look at all the structures. We have yet to have a single fort fall for either team, even though Team Good Guys got the one on the top left pretty low.
Makes it even more impressive that Dignitas has such a significant lead in experience.
That's true.
The kill count is not all that high, but they really made that work and had great moves soaking. But now we have a massive push at that bot lane. They're desperately trying to go for 16 and they now have it. But Tacita isn't with them and they might have gone again a bit too deep. But Auriel is not moving in just yet. We have them going through another tower. Tazada is on his way. BKB is there too. Gets the hook against Oriel. They're jumping on her. They have the slow with the Pulverize on 16. Here comes Zelia from the back. And the kill against Vala as Raid Boss moves in, but he himself is falling.
Cassia falls as well, and Zelia's on the back line is harassing these supports consistently. At the same time, BKB is trying to get away on the bottom right, but here comes Zelia jumping in. JPL with the knockback too. Antihero dives in, but the detainment strike nails him against the wall, and BKB is about to fall.
BKB down again. The leyline seal is being used. Ancestral comes through, and Zelia tries to move away, but Mena is already there with a portal, cutting him off completely. Antihero attempting to save his teammate for a second, but Dignitas is ruthlessly taking kill after kill. It's another triple for the team in blue, and they are doing so extremely well. They also have the Punisher. They need one more minion, that's all. And it just couldn't be any better for Dignitas right now.
Yeah, great self-control there. Just putting themselves in a spot where they come in for the engage, force their opponents to lose out on a team fight, and they can come in at any point and grab this shrine. They just want to leave it up and available, because the closer and the longer they wait for them to grab that shrine, they can move towards 20 at any point. So Dignitas is in a really solid spot. Look at them soaking the top, the middle, even the bottom, getting everything flowing for them so they can have this Punisher as they push in.
The thing is, the longer they wait with the Punisher, the easier it is for them to hit 20 and fight over the next one. So they are going to delay this as long as they can, and the good guys realize that too. They need to force them to take the last minion, because if they don't, they're just going to wait forever here. So the last one is going to be taken pretty soon. JPL is going to move in and take one down. And there we have it. Frozen Punisher taken, but nearly level 19. So Dignitas did a great job delaying this as long as they could.
Doing it for a long time, and now they can push in for this fort here. They're actually sitting a few people at the top lane. Are they hoping to break down all the forts here? Gonna have a jump in onto BKB. He'll take the shot here. Here's Antihero. JPL is sharking around the top right side. Is he coming in for a big flank to knock someone back? Cassie would be great, but Team Good Guys is aware and they're able to retreat.
Mena, every single time someone is hooked, is immediately there and gets the shield in. So tricky for the good guys to kill anyone here. They want to take down the Punisher, and they already have it really low. Shouldn't really have a problem defending the keep, but the big problem is the level 20. And the good guys, they want to force the fight, and they go in deep to force that battle.
Antihero just got completely baited there. The portal bringing back Ariel here. They're going to turn around, and Zelia discharges forward. Self-destruct is well being used. Raid Boss low on health, and he's going to fall. Antihero will be able to get away with Cassia missing out. A 5v4 is up for Dignitas.
Great move on the self-destruct from D.Va, once again isolating the heroes and zoning them off. But also Malthael just doing so much work in these fights and really bringing the pain here. Dignitas is just doing exceptionally well, and they are closing in on the 20 now. They have full control over the game.
Snitch keeping up with the attack damage. They're looking for 20. Team you guys trying to force something, even being behind in number advantage. They want to force a fight before 20 hits for Dignitas. Nothing will prevail, though, as all of Dignitas just completely retreat and get away from the fight.
Malthael's numbers are insane if you look at it. He does not only have the highest siege damage in the game, but he's with 50,000 hero damage also, sitting really strong. He also has the most kills in the game. He's currently on 3 kills, whereas Vala, for example, has only 1, even though she put out the most hero damage. Of course, Strafe plays a big role with that as well. But yeah, Malthael in these fights is just doing so well. And this is, again, what we said during the draft. It's a great map for him, because of all the fights over the objective where you are guaranteed to be in the middle of 3-4 heroes, as long as a Medivh and the Aura can keep you alive, you're going to be the one who really puts in the pressure. And you can tell how especially Illidan and, of course, Ditches are definitely having a lot of respect for him.
I also like how when he comes in for the rotations, he's sitting on that Rhaegar, that Tassadar. He's forcing Dimensional Shift as many times as he can. That moment that pops out, that's where you see Mane bring in the Force of Will and the Leyline Seal and try and force a fight right away.
But that's exactly the thing. Malthael with Medivh. It's so good. You have even more mobility.
Yeah.
You have the portals that allow you to escape, which is one of the most crucial things. And you have also the Force of Will to keep you alive even longer and do your thing. And that's really one of the reasons why Zelia can just excel here, because he knows that he can get away with all of this. Once again, Leyline Seal, Hunt being used. They're going for Zelia as the good guys are taking a last desperate fight.
Here comes the self-destruct here from JPL. Will not continue anyone, but Zay is so low on the top left, and Zalia is full health. It's absolutely destroying. Snitch comes in with the auto text and will get the final pickoff. Zay trying to back here, playing with vision. He may be able to get back home and be able to get out. BKB comes in with the help. I don't think that was necessary.
Me neither.
But flashy nonetheless. And Dignitas with their kill should be able to grab something here. The Shrine in particular is what you can go for right away. I wouldn't mind for them to even move down to the bottom right and start working on that keep wall so they have a spot to move in for the keep.
They don't have the 20, and they are very unlikely to get it if they want to fight over the Punisher here. But there's another 30 seconds in Cassia anyway, so chances of them moving in, the good guys that is, are slim to none. So they will accept that they're not going to get the Punisher here, but they are going to try and muster up a defense with level 20 talents, and that could be making the difference here. But it's still going to be rough. The 20, on the other hand, has at least the Storm Shield on Rhaegar. That's a huge help against Malthael.
Yeah, it is. Just being able to get those shields there while he goes in for the dive, and he can turn around and try and focus him down. It can be a strong tool for the good guys. They need to wait for Cassie to spawn. She finally is up now. So it's all about the defense for the good guys, and they have to be careful too. Any members falling here, and Dignitas can move in and start looking for a core.
Yeah, so at this point, Camp is also up at the top lane. Zelia already with a portal. Mena really enabling with the Medivh dives into the backline. It's always a threat, even if you don't use it. Just threatening the engage is oftentimes enough. Yeah, there comes the cleanse and the heal. Once more, on the other hand, the leyline seal locking down 2. But the Punisher is not going to be able to finish this off just yet. And the keep hasn't fallen yet either.
It will, though. Finally getting picked up, and I love the crown placement from Bakery in particular here. You put it on top of Malthael, and the moment he pops up the Tormented Souls, you're able to get a lot of hope popping out there for your Ariel, and they switched it right back to Ball the moment that she got in for a multi-shot and a strafe, allowing them to keep up the heals. But overall, great defense for Team Good Guys.
Yeah, we're 21 minutes in, and considering how, let's say, the last 5-6 minutes went, it's actually impressive that they only lost a single keep. That could have been way worse for them. He, on the other hand, comes to engage. They go for Zelia. This time they want their kill. They might get it. Stasis used, and Malthael is down. The question now, can they snowball from here? They have a 60-second time window in which they can apply pressure onto Dignitas.
Can they get another hook? You see BKB, he is looking for it. He would love to start a fight for his team, while everyone else from Team Good Guys start working on this fort in the middle. Do they rotate the top there? They've already broken down the keep wall. That would be a great spot for them to start working on a keep. They decide to keep pushing in the middle and at least take this wall.
They can definitely make sure that they get a bit more momentum going for themselves here. Just out-pushing the lanes, taking the mercenary camps that are on the map will already be a help. Ideally, of course, you are able to force the fight, but then again, Medivh just makes all the difference here. Having the vision right now in such a situation allows the team to safely move on the map. Vala, for example, would never be at that position together with a Bakery on his Oriel to take camp if they didn't know for a fact, thanks to Medivh, that everyone else from Team Good Guys is at the bottom of the map.
On the other side, too, I kind of wish I would have seen a little bit more from Good Guys here in terms of breaking down walls in the middle, even maybe moving to that top lane to get that keep. They did get a kill on the Malthael, but all they got out of it was, what, 1 mercenary camp, 2 mercenary camps here on the bottom. Hopefully they can get some pressure going in, but with Malthael being up already, the defense for Dignitas is very easy to pull off.
The timing of the kill against Malthael was not really the best. I mean, it's not like they can choose when they want to take him down. They got the hook and then they did the best they could. But the thing is, if that happens later and they get an advantage over the Shrine, that would be better for them, of course. But now we're heading into another 5 versus 5, which is the next thing that we are going to see here. In the meantime, by the way, D.Va has taken over the spot of main siege damage for the team. But look how Malthael is closing the gap between his hero damage and Vala's. He's really starting to completely wreck here. That hero is picking up so much momentum at this point.
The late game ramp up, man. Being able to keep in there, also being near that Medivh continues to allow him to bring up the damage and also be force of willed in the fights. Here we go. Zelia charges forward right away. He is on BKB. He turns around to look at the supports. He's also on top of the building. Chain ball popping out.
Leyline has been used and they're starting to go in with it, but here comes once more JPL. Already dimensional shift being used by Zay. Oh, that's a lot of hit points that he just suffered at the hands of Snitch's Vala. But we see them moving in again. They know they cannot lose out on this one. They need to take that fight and they're looking for it.
Moving in here, Anti-Hero will dive in first, looks at Snitch, the Shaman Strike comes out from Bakery. JPL at the same time taking damage, does have Self-Destruct available if he needs to pop it. Anti-Hero is looking at the Malthael. Azalea is low on help, but the Shield of Hope comes out.
Great move by BKB, seeing the Aegis and immediately throwing the hook so that Malthael would be hooked in, but they can't get the kill because again Mena was there. Anti goes in deep with a hunt, tries to just push them away from Rhaegar, but the death is happening anyways. Down he goes, and BKB is also low. Desperately, they're trying to make something happen here. But after Snitch's falls, this is looking worse.
Anti-Hero is trying to do what he can, though, on the back line then with Bakery and Snitch, and they are just kiting him like crazy. Will Ante fall? He finally does, and Dignitas is able to break through, kill multiple members. Now, what is their decision? Are they going to go for an aggressive play? They're starting to group up, and they're heading south.
Yeah, they're trying to end the game through the bot lane, but overall, this game was actually getting... In terms of kills, it doesn't really show it, but Team Good Guys definitely made a stand in a lot of these situations here. So Dignitas aims for the win and goes straight for the core. Tacita alone is not going to be able to stop them from doing so, and it's 20 seconds until Rhaegar is back in the game. So this is Dignitas taking the lead in the series and defeating the Good Guys on Infernal Shrines.
Bit of a nail-biter, as Dignitas is able to get the lead here 2-1, but the Good Guys, they're hanging in here against one of the top three.
They look much better in this series so far, not only because of the map they took, but also in this third game than they did in the series against Team Liquid. I feel that the game on Towers of Doom was a bit different because just simply from a draft perspective, it was fantastic for Dignitas. It was more or less an ideal scenario for the Vikings composition, what they were running there. So they got way ahead with everything they wanted to do. But these games are getting a lot closer. And, I mean, they are still playing against one of the big three.
Yeah, playing against Big Three, and they're hanging in there, especially in that late game. Gosh, Malthael is one of those heroes that just brings up so much damage in the late game, starts to shut down members, but they're just holding and holding and holding, especially with that force of will. Malthael has become much more fearsome with that Medivh being in that rotation, and yet the Good Guys come in, and they still handle it. I love in that late game fight, they drop down the ball lightning before the ley line seal comes out, so they at least get a trade on damage, and they can turn around and try and get into a fight.
I also have to say I was pretty impressed by Mena's Medivh. We haven't really seen him a lot on Medivh, but he just played absolutely perfect there.
Yeah.
The portals were always there, not only to save allies, but also to pose a huge threat whenever they were trying to force a fight. And always in the right spot, he helped his teammates escape. His shields were one of the few things that kept any hook target alive, and also Malthael, when he went deep, kept him alive too. So definitely a really decent job, a really good job on what Mena did here on Medivh.
I gotta say the drafting for Dignitas has become very interesting today, because I think one of the criticisms that we saw a lot of times for Dignitas was that their drafts are very predictable. You know what they're gonna be moving into in some way or some form. And with the variation today, suddenly going into next week, I'm like, are we gonna see a Medivh suddenly from Mena? Are we gonna see him on a Rhaegar? I love the variation that they're introducing today. But it is something that's like, I wonder if they're not playing to their full potential. Because right now, Team Good Guys are starting to hang out with them.
Yeah, then again, they were a bit predictable in the past, but the thing is, why not?
Yeah, they still deliver.
If you win with it, then you can afford to have that one weak spot. But I also like that we have them being more flexible right now. It just adds another weapon to their arsenal, no matter what they are going to do in the future.
This can only make Dignitas more powerful.
Yeah.
On the other side, what about the Good Guys? Do they play this effectively without the Illidan being in their compositions? Because right now, that Illidan is doing a lot of work.
Illidan is definitely doing a lot of work, and I think the next game is probably going to tell us that, since I could see that at some point they are just say, or Dignitas just says, we take the Illidan away from them. It seems to be something they need as a backbone to make these comps work. It's the composition they got the win with on Cursed Hollow, and now on this one they were looking also a lot stronger with it. But I still think that the Good Guys is one of the newer teams. You have to think about it like this as well. Good Guys is one of the teams that formed really late in the Open Division and then qualified for HGC. They are so to say the youngest team as a unit. Yes, a lot of the players have been around for a long time, but as a unit, they are definitely the youngest team that we have in the league right now. So they need a bit of time to really just smooth out all the kinks, make sure that everything is being addressed, that they get comfortable with each other and are able to force these fights. So the improvement from last week to now this week is already impressive.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite part about them is if they're a team already that is that young and yet they're already starting to come together. Look at them 7 days later from their first play and you see them now taking on Dignitas. I'm excited for the matchup against the Playing Ducks. And with them playing this way, there's a potential that the Playing Ducks and them will go to a game number 5 and be really, really hard to see who can actually call it forward. Now let's go and talk about Battlegrounds. Where are we going